All right, so we are going to be talking about solving systems with quadratics. So where we have two equations, okay, that means our systems, okay, but they are both quadratics, okay? So remember, systems just means more than one. Okay, so we're going to be graphing more than one quadratic equation in order to find where they intersect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We actually have two different forms that our quadratics are written in. Okay, so let's make a note on our paper to remind ourselves these forms. Okay, standard form of a quadratic is what is written as y equals ax squared plus bx, sorry, you can't see that a very well, plus c. Okay, so a, b, c. X squared, x in the middle, plus c. Okay, then we have vertex form. Okay, our vertex form, if you remember, is written as y equals, a is still in front, but it's in parentheses, x minus h squared plus k. Okay, and if you remember, in vertex form, it actually tells us our vertex. Okay, it's negative h, comma, k. Meaning we change the sign on our h, keep the sign on our k. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph. Number one, so our first quadratic, and we'll label this guy as our purple guy. He's written in standard form, ax squared minus bx plus c. Okay, so in order to find our vertex and be able to graph this guy, we're going to need our little baby formula. X is equal to negative b over 2a. That's going to help us find the x part of our vertex. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in what we know. X is equal to negative b over 2 times a. Okay, well, our b for this guy is actually negative 6, so I'm going to plug in a negative 6 over 2 times a. My a is just 1. Okay, so this turns into a double negative, 6 divided by 2. So we know that for the vertex of my purple guy, the x part is 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Now we just need the y part. Okay, so now in order to find the y, I'm going to use my entire quadratic equation, but everywhere there's an x, I'm just going to plug in what I found for x. So I have x squared minus 6 times x plus 7. Okay, and I found that x, I'm going to change up my colors a little bit, was 3. So 3 and 3. And now I can just solve for this guy. So I have 3 squared, my first little piece is 9. Okay, negative 6 times positive 3 is negative 18, and plus 7. Now I can do this whole thing in a calculator if I wanted to, and which I'm going to, because it's all just adding and subtracting. So 9 minus 18 plus 7. And so I get my y is negative 2. Okay, so now I can graph my vertex. My vertex is at positive 3, negative 2. And I'm going to graph this in purple to show you that it's the purple guy. Positive 3, excuse me, negative 2. Okay, now we just remember our pattern. Well, if my a is positive 1, that means it's going up. So up 1 and over 1. And then if you remember, it's up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And it's the same on both sides. Remember, make it symmetrical. So up 1 over 1 on this side. And then up 1, 2, 3 over 1 on that side. And there is my parabola for my purple one. Okay, now the green one, my next guy, he's a little easier to graph because he's in vertex form, which automatically tells us our vertex. Okay, so if our vertex, if we look back at vertex form, we have negative h and k. That's our vertex. So in this case, my h is negative 3, and my k is actually 0 because there's nothing on the end there. Okay, so my vertex for my green guy, I'm going to come down here and write him. Negative h, so we're going to change the sign on our h. It's a negative 3, we're going to make him a positive 3. And keep the k, 3, 0. Okay, so we can put that on our graph. Vertex is at 3, 0. And now I just need to make sure it's going up or down. Well, this negative in front, technically a negative a, means we're going down. So instead of up 1 over 1, we're going to go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, and then down 3 over 1, which we can't actually do. So we're just going to go ahead and graph those, connect those, because it tells us where our solutions are anyway. Okay, so remember our solutions are where they intersect. So we have 1, 2 solutions. So our 2 solutions, let's do this guy first, positive 2, negative 1. So 2, negative 1. And positive 4, negative 1. 4, negative 1. And those are our 2 solutions, our 2 answers, the coordinate points where these 2 quadratic equations intersect. Okay, beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead and do number 2. So I need to graph my first guy, which again, he's written in standard form. So I need my x is equal to negative b all over 2 times a. Okay, well my b here is going to be positive 8 for 2 times a, which is just 1. So now I have a negative 8 because of that negative over 2. So my x part of my vertex is negative 4. Almost forgot that negative. Now I just need the y part. Okay, so we are going to use this x and plug it back into our entire quadratic. So we have y is equal to, let's see, x squared plus 8x plus 12. Okay, and I'm going to plug in my x, which was negative 4. So negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 plus 12. Now we can just solve this guy. So we have negative 4 squared, which is going to give me positive 16. 8 times a negative 20, or negative 4 is negative 32. And plus 12. And I'm just going to put this whole thing in my calculator. So I get 16, let's see, minus 32. Whoops. 16 minus 32 plus 12. And we get our y is also negative 4. So this whole thing equaled negative 4. Okay, so I have my vertex for my purple guy. Okay, so we'll say this is my vertex for my purple graph. So let's go ahead and put him on the graph. I'm at negative 4, down to 4. And there we go. Okay, there's no negative in front, so I can go up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay, up 1 over 1, and up 3, 2, 3 over 1. And there's my parabola for my purple guy. Okay, now I just need to graph the green guy. Okay, so green guy's a lot easier. He's this guy right here. We just need to identify the vertex. Okay, so my h is inside always, but we need to change the sign on him. So it's going to change from a positive 2 to a negative 2. And then my k again is just plus 0 because there's nothing on the end. So 0. Okay, so I can go ahead and put that vertex on, negative 2, 0. It's right there. Okay, and now, again, we have that little negative, and I wrote it really weird, but that is a negative, so we're going down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, and down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. So there is the graph for my green guy. Okay, and now I just identify these 2 coordinate points where they intersect, right there and right there. Okay, let's do this guy first. He lines up with negative 4 and negative 4. He's actually the vertex of my purple guy. And then this guy is the vertex of my green guy. So negative 2, 0. So that just happened to be those vertexes are where they intersected. But those are the 2 solutions, meaning where they intersect on the graph. Okay, beautiful. Alrighty, number 3. Sorry, I'm moving this paper out. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph our first guy. So we have y is equal to negative x, or excuse me, x squared plus 2x plus 5. So he's written in standard form, so we need our x part of our vertex is equal to our little baby formula, negative b over 2 times A. And then I can plug in my B, which is positive 2, over my A, which is just that invisible 1. Okay, so I get negative 2 divided by positive 2, meaning the x part of this vertex, negative 2 divided by 2, is negative 1. Okay, beautiful. All right, now I just need to find the y. So we're going to do now y is equal to our whole quadratic equation. But instead of the x's, I'm just going to leave little spaces, x squared plus 2 times x plus 5. And I can plug in what I found for x, so I have negative 1, negative 1. Now I just solve this guy. So negative 1 squared, or negative 1 times negative 1, positive 1, plus 2 times negative 1, which is actually negative 2, and plus 5. Okay, now I just need to figure out what this is. We can put it all in the calculator if we want. 1 minus 2 plus 5. And it gives me positive 4. So we know that the y part of my vertex for my purple guy is positive 4. Okay, let's go ahead and put him on the graph. So we have negative 1 on your x. First, always find your x, then go up to positive 4. Okay, there's no negative in front, so we're going to go up 1 over 1 and up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Same thing on the other side, up 1 over 1 and up 1, 2, 3 over 1. And there is my purple guy. Now I just need my green guy. Okay, so again, he's in vertex form. So that easily tells us our vertex. Okay, we have negative h. H is always inside. Okay, negative just means change the sign on it. So this is a negative 1. Now it's going to turn into a positive 1 because we always change the sign on that guy. And keep the sign on this guy. This time we do have a number out there. It's just positive 4. So now I can put this vertex on my graph. I have 1 up 4. There's my vertex. Okay, and there's no negative in front here, so he's also going up 1. So up 1 over 1, and then up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay, same thing on the other side, up 1 over 1, and up 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay, and there is our green guy, kind of like right next to each other. So we really only see one place where they're intersecting right now. Okay, so this solution where they're intersecting is 0 because it's not lining up with anything. Actually, it's lining up with 0 on our x-axis, and up to 5. So the solution is 0, 5. Beautiful. All right, let's do that again. Okay, number 4. Okay, so this guy's in standard form, our first guy. So we need our x part is equal to negative b over 2 times a, just that little formula in order to find the vertex. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my b on top, which is actually negative 6 over 2 times a. My a is just 1 again. So now I have negative times a negative is positive 6 divided by 2. So we know the x part of my vertex is positive 3. Now I just need the y part. Okay, so I'm going to take that positive 3 that we found for x, and I'm going to plug it in everywhere I see an x in my quadratic equation. So y is equal to x squared minus 6x plus 8. And everywhere that x was, I'm just going to put my positive 3 that I found. Okay, so now I can go ahead and solve it. 3 squared, or 3 times 3, is 9. Negative 6 times positive 3 is negative 18. And plus 8. Now I can just put this all in my calculator. I get 9 minus 18 plus 8. And I get negative 1 for my y part. Okay, so this is the vertex for my purple guy, my first equation. So I'm going to find positive 3 and then go down to negative 1. It's right there. Okay, again, no negative in front, so up 1 over 1. Up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Same thing on the other side, up 1 over 1. And up 1, 2, 3 over 1. Connect them all. There's my parabola for my purple guy. Now I just need to graph my green guy. Okay, so vertex form, we know that because of the parentheses. So now I just need my h, negative h. So the h is the one on the inside, the number on the inside. That's -2, but remember we changed the sign. It's going to be a +2. And then my k is the number on the outside, but we don't actually have one. So it's just going to be 0. So my vertex for my green guy is 2, 0. So I can find that on my graph. Boom, right there. He does have a negative in front, so we're going to go down. Down 1 over 1. And then we'd go down 3, but we'd run out of room, so just go on the other side, down 1 over 1. And there's that top of our vertex for our green guy. Okay, so now we can see the 2 places that they intersect. So we have right there and right there. Okay, right there is just the vertex for our green guy, 2, 0. And this coordinate point lines up with 3 on our x-axis, so 3, and then -1. Again, those were the vertexes of our quadratics that just happened to happen. Okay, so graphing both quadratics, finding where they intersect. Your notes do have 4 more examples, but they're all pretty much the same, so those are your notes. You have an assignment that goes with it.